Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has called out her colleagues in Congress for blocking the Green New Deal. So now, right now in New York and in New Jersey, Tropical Storm Elsa has caused massive flooding to the subway system. And so as a result, AOC had some strong words for the GOP for taking orders from fossil fuel companies. And it's not, of course, it's not just the GOP. Yes, they take a lot of money from fossil fuel companies, but guess what? Well, so do Democrats. In fact, here's what she said, quote, "The Green New Deal, which is a blueprint to create millions of good jobs, rebuilding infrastructure to stem climate change and protect vulnerable communities, is unrealistic. Instead, we will do the adult thing, which is take orders from fossil fuel execs and make you swim to work." True. But then again, think of the sales of snorkels and swim fins. If you got to swim to work, I mean, capitalism right there. No problem. Totally fine. Yeah, swimming to work. It's wonderful. Look, yes, she is still talking about the Green New Deal, bringing it up. And I think that's great because we need a Green New Deal because climate change is so bad. For example, the ocean was on fire last week as a result of not, climate change, but fossil fuels, the pipeline that had burst in the Gulf of Mexico. Not only that, but as a result of climate change itself, you had a small Canadian town that burnt to the ground, while the Pacific Northwest had triple-digit temperatures. And of course, those temperatures are set to return. And so, look, you have a lot of problems, but hey, no, totally fine. Hey, what are you talking about? Climate change, where? What climate change? No, fossil fuel companies are continuing to make money, and that's all they care about. Now, the CEOs, as I've said before, the CEOs are not going to be alive when it gets bad. They're not. I mean, when it gets really bad. And it's already bad, but it's going to get worse. Now, this follows, of course, the infamous video of the Exxon Mobil lobbyists. I've talked about this, who admitted that, yes, they fight against the science. They hide behind shadow groups. They put out BS press releases saying that, oh, the carbon tax, we support that. Oh, yeah, carbon tax. They don't actually support the carbon tax. In fact, they pay politicians like Joe Manchin to not pass and the Republicans to not pass a carbon tax. They know it will never happen. They're paying people off. And of course, the latest fight is over Biden's infrastructure bill. Now, Biden's infrastructure has got a lot of problems. They're putting a lot of investments in fossil fuels. And there are Democrats that are saying, well, we're not going to pass it. We're not going to do anything if we don't do anything about climate, if we don't put something here about climate change. Okay. Again, in the video, this guy was saying, quote, "Joe Manchin, I talk to his office every week." He also called Manchin a kingmaker and discussed how, on the Democrat side, we look for the moderates on these issues in their efforts to stop policies that could, of course, hurt the company's business. So, well, if you want to point at the problem, Joe Manchin is the problem. Kirsten Sinema is the problem. The moderate corporate Democrats are the problem. They're the one blocking these things, blocking these bills from getting passed that involve investment in climate change. In fact, here's another quote. "Did we join some of these shadow groups to work against some of the efforts at regulation? Yes, that's true, but there's nothing illegal about that. We were just looking out for our shareholders." Well, of course they were, because that's all they look out for. That's all they care about. And they have lobbied to prevent anything good from making it into Biden's infrastructure bill. This is why we have to remove money from politics. That's really the driving force here. The money from these Exxon lobbyists, the money from these think tanks, like the Heritage Foundation, and all the other Koch network of groups that are spending, that are muddying the water on climate change. The so-called whipping boys that this guy was talking about in the video with the undercover Greenpeace activist. That's the problem. You've got to get the money out because, look, The planet's on fire. And they're not going to do anything as long as they continue to get paid. So get rid of the money. Because if we don't, the people that are signing the paychecks are always going to continue to win.